Well, thank you, Council. It's a privilege to be able to stand before you for the first time. I am Chris Reed. I am the acting president of Morning Star Fellowship Church, and I am the senior pastor of Morning Star Fellowship Church. My wife and family and I moved here to Fort Mill in July of 2021 after pastoring the Ark Church in Peru, Indiana for 12 years as the senior pastor. While there, we undertook working with the county there, Miami County, Indiana. We got building permits. We built additions to our church property there, acquired expansion of property. We never, ever incurred, even though it was a much smaller scale facility, we never incurred such prohibitions from Miami County, Indiana on developing that religious property to practice our religious freedoms as we have incurred from York County preceding me and since I have been here the last 18 months. I am Rick Joyner's successor, and I fully 100% intend on fulfilling the Tower vision completion. And go ahead, and there we go. Morning Star purchased the Heritage International Ministry property in 2004. And since the beginning, Morning Star declared the property, including the tower, was for religious use. It's part of our religious mandate, and it's part of our vision to care for the elderly. Malachi chapter 4, verses 5 and 6, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers before the return of the Lord. The tower was set aside with plans to be a retirement or a refirement center for the fathers and mothers in the faith to come. For instance, my parents have moved here since then, and they are residents in our current facility that's developed Heritage Court, to help them in retirement age to retire, to get engaged in the community, to get involved, to find purpose in their later years. This tower is an established structure that needs finished. And structural examinations, as Mr. Yarns showed from 2008, 2014, and 2018, have shown it is still viable and solid and is no danger to the community to remain and to be finished. And if anybody would be in danger, it would be the people who live there and work there. So if we thought it was really a danger, we would be the first ones to acknowledge that. Now, this is a historic tower that was built by the widow's mite. In other words, small donations from middle-class people. To abandon this mission, okay, would be an insult to the sacrifice of thousands of middle-class Christian believers and would be equal to the tearing down of any other religious symbol or structure or shrine or temple or mosque. Here you see from 2006 a Herald article where Rick Joyner, our founder, clearly expressed our heart to fully restore the facilities at Morning Star, because Morning Star wants to serve the community, and we do in various ways, especially helping the elderly. It's one of our chief mandates, and to be a blessing. Why? Why would you try to stop that? Now, HIM facility, in the past 19 years since purchasing the property, Morning Star has turned a formerly vacant building into a facility that hosts multiple church services on Sunday mornings, Bible studies, connect groups, men's and women's support groups, youth events. Just in fact, this past week, 72 separate distinct events took place at the HIM facility. Morning Star performs weddings, hosts banquets for the local York County Sheriff Department. We serve the local community with events for children and for youth, Operation Christmas Child, giving less fortunate children gifts at Christmas time. Morning Star has a K through 12 school. My children attend that school with about 200 students, and a ministry school where students can get a bachelor's degree or even go on to get a master's degree, and various other work-study programs to help families and to help young people advance their purpose in life and to be trained and equipped for what they feel like they're supposed to do in the world. We already have about 150 plus retired people in Heritage Community, in Heritage Court, living on the campus with what we have already developed over the years. And we have hundreds, literally hundreds, wanting to move here to enhance York County. Morning Star has restored over 70% of the property, over the 50 plus acres that we have, including the 500-room Heritage Hotel and the Heritage Court. And we are only wanting permission to finish what we have started. Now, in the last 18 months that I have been here, that's what I can speak to. And I can say in that time, our local church that I pastor has drastically, in 18 months, increased in attendance and increased by every measurement. We had just shy of 1,000 people yesterday in our Sunday morning services. And the fact is, in every measurement that we can find, we are increasing and coming up higher. We have demonstrated as a ministry financial responsibility, and I think we've demonstrated that we are not PTL 2.0. And that kind of characterization of any modern ministry based off of any perceived failure of a former ministry, if that characterization was done to any other group, any other religious group, any other denomination, that would be perceived as an insult. We are not asking for a permit. Now, this is important. We are not asking for a permit to build a 21-story building based on 2023 building code. We're asking to refurbish a building built by 1980s building codes. And I think that is worth pointing out. And there are tons of buildings in York County that were built before Heritage Tower was built, before the 1980s, and permits to improve, to better those facilities have happened. For instance, when we talk about how the tower is standing in York County, when people claim that there's some safety issue concerning our tower, the Allison House, constructed in 1860, the Anderson House, constructed in 1898, the South Carolina National Guard Armory Building, constructed in 1938, the United States Courthouse and Post Office Building in Rock Hill, constructed in 1931, the People's National Bank Building, built in Rock Hill, constructed in 1909, the old York County Courthouse Building, located at the intersection of Liberty and Congress Streets in York, constructed in 1914, before the U.S. even entered World War I. This is just a small sampling of a few buildings, some of them built over 100 years ago. And in all, approximately 40 buildings are cited on the National Historic Register for York County alone, all being much older than Heritage Tower, yet nobody raises alleged safety issues about the viability of older buildings, which is one of the reasons why we feel we are being persecuted and picked on because of our religious beliefs. The Morning Star Tower represents a significant asset to Morning Star. As it stands, it is worth $15 to $20 million as it stands. And we can't understand why York County Council has spent so much time, hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars and effort on stopping the project. We're not asking for you to build it for us. We're just asking for government to get out of our way. You know, so many use the term of separation of church and state as if somehow the modern definition of that is to keep the church out of government. Well, in reality, if you read the original writings and Thomas Jefferson and the original intent, it was to keep the state out of the church, to stop the state from prohibiting church development and religious freedom. So all we want to do is finish this tower, which we're fully capable of doing, which Dave Yarnes showed that we've secured the full financing needed, the JEDA bond, before the county reinstated the case on the 365th day of the agreed upon year dismissal. So this is not just a building. This is serious. This is a part of our religious mandate, and we take it serious. Now, granted, I know there are new council members, and it is a privilege, as I said, to address you all, and we are simply asking for the council to take an immediate vote to drop all and any litigation against Morning Star Fellowship Church. It would be that fast and that simple, but instead you all insist on continuing to further more litigation. All it takes is one council member to demonstrate courage that the council runs the county and not the county attorneys. And if that one person on the council would challenge the establishment viewpoint, all of this could be stopped. And I'm asking that you all consider, I'm asking you to go into a closed session after tonight, and you can vote and have an election, and this can be stopped, and it can be shown that this county is run by the county council and not run by bureaucrats or attorneys. As we said, the county has spent already $330,000 in counting. And the case has been made, apparently, that the county attorney does not feel that this case is not constitutionally unique enough to require special consideration. But I would pose the question in response: can we find another example of the county infringing on another religious institution from freely developing its existing property? And so I ask you respectfully to grant us this motion and to have a special vote to drop all litigation against Morning Star Fellowship Church so we can practice our freedom of religion and develop our pre-existing property. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Reed. Thank you, Mr. Yarnes.